Warren Jackson, and I'm the father of the hot air scrubber. The hot air scrubber is a whole space HVAC disinfectant system. It treats the whole commercial space. It's not a filter you plug into the wall and put in the corner. It's not a portable UVC tower. Those portable devices just can't do the job, and I'll show you why. Today what I want to do is put the hot air scrubber in context from a business standpoint, from a business opportunity. And to do that, we're going to have to look a little bit at the status of our public health system today in relationship to our preparedness for the next pandemic, which is suspected to be bird flu. Here are some airborne diseases. On this side here on the left, we've got basically childhood diseases. There are vaccines for all of those. The vaccine schedule is being changed. It's under attack. Influenza, bird flu. Bird flu is on the pandemic list. COVID-19 was on the pandemic list, and we know what happened there. So if you want to put your head in the sand about bird flu pandemic, that would be very unwise. Tuberculosis, Legionnaire's disease, those are bacterial-based diseases. The hot air scrubber can handle the viruses, and it can also handle the bacteria because it uses UVC light. It can go places that filtration cannot go. February 14th, 2025, Donald Trump signs executive order to make America healthy again with RFK Jr. by his side. RFK is going to lead the charge to make America healthy again. He's off to a running start, laying off 10,000 workers from HHS, including CDC workers, NIH workers. He put the CDC in total chaos, including laying off people working on bird flu, things like that. But here in the United States, we've got RFK attacking vaccines. He fires everybody on the advisory panel for the CDC. And he slashes by $500 million funding for the mRNA vaccine, the messenger RNA vaccine. It turned the tide on COVID-19 for us. We would have had an additional 3 million deaths is estimated during the 2020 pandemic if it were not for the mRNA warp speed vaccine. And with regard to bird flu, he has canceled the deal that we had going with Moderna to produce H5 and other pandemic vaccines. So all that vaccine work is coming to a screeching halt. So let me digress here briefly. If, in designing chemical plants, if you've got a reactor that may explode, and it's going to be a minor explosion, you can contain it, then you can locate that reactor in the middle of the plant. That wouldn't be negligence. You can contain it, small explosion. But if you've got a reactor doing the reaction, if it got away from you, it's catastrophic. It would blow up and level the whole plant, kill everyone in it. You can't stick that in the middle of the plant. You got to stick that thing out there in the middle of the cornfield. Cost you more money to put it way out there, but to stick it inside the plant would be negligence. Okay. So if we were to have bird flu come along right now, the state of our public health system, it would be a catastrophe because it's 50 times the death rate of COVID-19, 50 times. And there would be no warp speed vaccine coming. We're cutting vaccine funding and research. So I calculate about 200 million lives would be lost in the event of a bird flu pandemic here. That means look to your left and look to your right. Between the 3 people there, 2 of you are not going to make it in the event of a bird flu pandemic. Okay, what that means. So 50 times the rate of death rate of COVID-19. Let's look here. There's those refrigeration trucks. You remember those during COVID-19? They were storing bodies in refrigeration trucks in New York City. This was at the beginning of the pandemic. As the pandemic spread across the country, so did these refrigeration trucks. In the case of bird flu, instead of 4 trucks here, multiply that number by 50, you would need 200 trucks. 200 refrigeration trucks in New York City here at the beginning of the pandemic. And of course that propagates through the whole country as the disease spreads through the whole country. 200 trucks, 50 times the rate. I don't think we have enough trucks. I think we most likely will end up doing these community cremations in parking lots like we saw in India back during the 2020 pandemic. Let's pray that doesn't happen. Okay? Houston, we've got a problem. The government has taken that reactor that should be sitting out in the cornfield. They've taken that reactor and they've sat it right into your living room, right? In every living room, they put it in every living room in every city, in every county, in every state in this country. That reactor, that catastrophic reactor, which is bird flu, is sitting right in our lap. Houston, we have a problem. Of course, we have a solution for it. It is the hot air scrubber. Hot air scrubber can make our country pandemic proof. Here's a room full of people. They're at some kind of seminar, something's going on there. You may have come from a lot of different states in the union, you know. What you can't see in this picture are the air currents caused by the HVAC systems, but I'm going to show you what they look like. Typically, HVAC spreads disease because of the turbulence, the mixing of the air in the room that it provides. So if you light off a smoke bomb in the air-conditioned space, this is a 3,000 square foot worship hall. You can see the effect of the HVAC system on spreading disease. It just sends it everywhere. Everybody gets a dose of it in the room. Also, what I want to point out to you is you can't kill what you can't catch. You put a UVC tower in there, portable thing, plug it into the wall, or you put a portable HEPA filter in the wall. It's not going to help you much because you got to catch that stuff before the next person breathes it, okay? So looking again at our people here at the seminar, now you can imagine what's going on here. And if one person comes in here and they've got a highly contagious deadly disease, then more than one person is going to be breathing that air. And then they're going to leave and they're going to go out to their respective states or counties or cities, wherever they come from. And now you're going to have the disease spread all over the place. It's what you call it's uncontained. Okay? Hot air scrubber, you don't have that problem because it doesn't work by mixing air. It works on temperature difference. It's thermal displacement ventilation. You keep cold air at the bottom of the room so that hot air rises toward the ceiling. The germs are in the hot air because your body's hot. If someone has a virus or something that's in their lungs, when they exhale, then the air coming out of their body is hot and it turns and it goes up to the ceiling. So you get rid of the turbulence, you can make a separation of dirty air and clean air by temperature. Once it's up in the top of the room, you got to catch it before it cools and falls back down on the people. So we have a collection header here. You can see that this plume is lopsided as the cloud is being pulled toward the collection system. Here we got 3 shots on time lapse. The plume is headed over to the collection pipe. Now you see the collection pipe pulling in through the nozzles, and you can see here the pattern in the top of the space. And it's designed so that you don't get any cross mixing in between the zones. We divide the space up into separate zones. And each zone has its own pair of diffusers, and it has its own nozzle on the manifold that is sized for its location on the return manifold pipe. Notice too that the space below is clear. There's no smoke down there, so the disease in your hot air is going to be in the ceiling, and that can make you pandemic proof. We ran this system, started up November 2021. It's been running ever since. There have been no outbreaks of RSV, COVID in this church space. And you know, churches were notorious for spreading COVID. That's why we picked this location, so we could have a real test in real time with real people. So the question becomes, how do we now move this system from the prototype to out in the field across the country. Okay, so this is where we get into the business part of it. We're going to use money to do that because the system is patented. It's intellectual property. It's covered by a patent. It solves a problem. And because of that, we can collect licensing fees. We're going to pay you a bonus of 65% of all licensing fees. We're going to pay that to the infrastructure firms as incentive for moving this out into the field. And I'm going to show you on the next slide, the potential is pretty much unlimited here. And as far as fees go, way in excess of $100 million, you'll see that. And your client, you'll provide your client with clean indoor air and increase market share. And finally, in case of a pandemic, you wouldn't have to shut down like we had to do in 2020. And you wouldn't have all the loss of life. So how does this IFSP work? Well, let's take an example. Bojangles has 850 restaurants. If you're charging a $30,000 per use fee for the utility patent, and the infrastructure firm is going to take 65% of that, that comes out to be $16.6 million. You would have to have equivalent revenue of $166 million and a 10% margin to earn that $16.6 million. Bojangles is not the only show in town. Let's make the math easy. Take $10 million per chain. Well, by the time you get down here to Taco Bell, 10 chains at $10 million each, that's $100 million. $100 million that's going to be paid back to the infrastructure companies, architecture firms, engineering firms, HVAC manufacturers, construction companies. You're going to be the recipient of this change right here. So there you have it. We looked at the state of our public health system. RFK and the anti-vaxxers are running it. Bird flu's on the horizon. The other countries around the world are stocking vaccines. They're preparing for the bird flu. We are not. We're dismantling our public health system. That reactor that's supposed to be in the cornfield that will explode and wipe everything out, that's bird flu. It's not in the cornfield, it's in our living rooms. And we've got to take action. We've got hardware now. We've got a system of hardware to put out there in the buildings. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter who's running the health system in America. That changes. These pipes will be in place and they won't change. They'll make America safe again for your children and your grandchildren as well as mine. So feel free to contact me. You can reach me at this cell phone number here. That's my cell phone. And scan the QR code. You can visit the website. You can see the actual calculations where we scaled up from the German UVC light study to commercial size. You can have your PhD chemical engineer take a look at that. There's some other considerations in there. There's a video how to enhance indoor air quality. We do particle calculations. That's based on settling velocity of particles and stuff. Things we use in pneumatic conveying and chemical plants. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me, and better yet, get in touch with me if you're ready to do some business and make America safe again.